I no sooner had gone back into the revolving door when all of a sudden it seems like the whole lobby, the door I was in, and everything filled up with a yellowish, brownish, combustible mixture. I didn't really smell any different, but it wasn't, it took so quickly to happen. It was like a tenth of a second, and the next thing I know is a major explosion, of which I'm now thrown back out through both of these, through the revolving door and back outside underneath the overhang.
From NBC News, this is Today with Katie Couric and Matt Lauer.
In the chaos of September 11th, there were countless acts of kindness and bravery between perfect strangers, people like Kenneth Summers and Stephen Newman. Kenneth was in the lobby of the North Tower when the first plane hit. He became engulfed in flames. Minutes later, Stephen, just blocks away, saw Kenneth burned and disoriented. He stopped and led him to safety.
I had no sooner walked out the door where I heard a whooshing, roaring noise, and I looked to my left, and I see a friend of mine with terror on his face, racing for cover. And then I saw several other people that I didn't recognize also heading for cover. And I looked, I had heard a boom and the ground tremble. And the next thing I know, I was looking up at the roof, and I'm seeing stuff coming off the roof. So I figured my best bet would be to get back into the building so to avoid the stuff coming off the roof. I no sooner had gone back into the revolving door when all of a sudden it seems like the whole lobby, the door I was in, and everything filled up with a yellowish, brownish, combustible mixture. I didn't really smell any different, but it wasn't, it took so quickly to happen. It was like a tenth of a second, and the next thing I know is a major explosion, of which I'm now thrown back out through both of these, through the revolving door and back outside underneath the overhang where the taxis would come in. I was on fire. I quickly put my shirt out and kind of doused my hair and just started to stagger away as fast as I could.
I guess the thought is that it was jet fuel that had sort of poured into the lobby that hit you, and as a result, you caught on fire. I know you were stumbling around, you were quite disoriented, and you can't really remember exactly what happened, but you were asking for help. You were trying to get someone to help you, but of course it was people were jumping off buildings and rushing away from the site.
Yeah, that was true. I was trying to seek help, and everybody was being a spectator. A few people tried to help me, but then would get distracted and they would disappear. I finally worked my way down by World Trade Center 2 in the corner of the Exchange, and I sat on the street there, trying to catch my breath, asking if anybody had a cell phone that I could call my wife, etc. Few people came forward. Then the second plane apparently plowed into World Trade Center 2, and at that point in time, I got up immediately and raced around the back of that
It was a
building.
revolving door at the World Trade Center that shielded Ken Summers from the fireball that exploded through the lobby when the first plane hit.
All the oxygen got sucked out of the door when the door, from the heat, and I bent down. And as I bent down, I saw, the orange glow coming through my finger.
Summers' arms, head, and hands were burned. Despite multiple surgeries and skin grafts, his hands still haven't healed.
The movement splits it open. I don't leave it alone because it either itches or it bothers me.
Many of the burn victims who initially survived the attack ended up dying. For those who survived, like Summers, doctors say it's often a lifelong recovery.
Patients will require reconstructive type of surgeries, especially with respect to hand injuries and facial injuries. And these can certainly take place over a period of years.
Good morning, good afternoon. You're looking at live pictures from Area 11 of Lower Manhattan, where the World Trade Centers used to stand. As you can now see, only remains a giant plume of smoke coming from the fires which burn below. That smoke is still very dark, which means there are still fires on the ground. As you can well imagine, commercial jets which are flying from one part of the country, from one coast to the other coast, would be carrying a large amount of fuel. That, of course, will be burning for some time, as well as all the additional stuff on the ground and in the buildings themselves, which add to that fuel.